Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee Talk, the Thursday morning regular thing that you can set your clock by because every morning,
That's right.
Thursday at 9 a.m., unless, something happens we can't get to. But we're happy to be with you with our coffees and our smiling faces. And I'm warmed by this fire. I'm just enjoying that.
It's nice to see you finally take your hood off this morning.
I was in my hood this morning. Chris came in and said, "Are you training for the big fight?" I thought that was great. This is our time to wrestle with what we just talked about on Sunday, the passage we looked at, wrestle a little bit with that, and then tell you what's coming up. So this Sunday we talked about a lot about salt and a lot about light, but we talked a lot about salt, and this morning as we were kind of saying, how do we wrestle with this, we thought of a few different ways that this could go. So, Chris actually looked up, if you say be salty, I said on Sunday, am I being salty? You can actually interpret that a little bit differently than what I meant. So, tell us what you
Well, I think we've all been salty at some time or another.
In the negative way,
in a variety of meanings. Because you were definitely leaning on the... I love that you brought out that this is Jesus telling everybody they are valuable and of great, immense worth. But yes, no, more often than not, today, if you use the term and accuse someone of being salty, they'd be like totally taken aback because you're calling them angry and bitter and irritated. And like just kind of a nasty individual in the moment.
Almost like getting under somebody's skin.
Yes.
Yeah, no, Brad Marchand is definitely salty. And he should be thrown out and trampled down. But
in case you don't know, this is a hockey player that's a little, salty.
I'm still not over it. That's okay.
So thank you.
Sorry, I was just giving an example of being salty.
That's a good example. It's a good example. He's a good example. But I think also what Jeff you were saying is that it's not that irritation that we're supposed to be. You're talking about especially in terms of preserving.
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt people when you talked about the maggots in the meat, right? I felt it across
saying
the room.
Yes, I know.
And everybody just
Can I? Right? So there was one time when my brother and I were left home alone, and my parents and sisters went on a trip somewhere, and we missed garbage day.
Oh yeah,
garbage just and not knowing that there was a bunch of raw meat in there.
Yes.
My dad came home. And it was crawling. It was he just went out back, dug a big hole. As what else do you do?
And
it was gross. That was a very important lesson of, so you shouldn't leave chicken scraps in a garbage can in the middle of summer, just hanging out.
Or just take.
So I think we've all, right? Yeah. We've all had experiences where we've kind of been like, we can go there.
Again, that is really a beautiful, not beautiful, beautiful is a very appropriate image for what Jesus is actually using that as a metaphor for. The world left on its own without his work in it is going that direction. And that actually should make us, that's what's his way to preserve it,
spend a day on the internet, and I'm sure you will go. And go. Just spend an hour, and but Jesus is saying, see, I wonder, is Jesus saying it'll suspend, and it won't go any worse, or I also feel like Jesus is saying because of the natural element of salt, and because of what light has been as a picture in the Old Testament as well too, is that there's a pure element to these things as well too, that God said, "Let there be light," and there was light, and there's this whole side of there's a I don't want to say holy, but there's actually a pure element when we think of salt and light that doesn't come from anything but God. Salt does not get there because humanity you know,
Yeah.
created a factory and made salt. Salt is there because God put it there because God is right, like, and light is there because God said, "Let there be light," and He made light and He created light, and it all comes from God. Right?
Well, we know that without light, like in both of those things, without salt, without light, there is no life. And salt, as much as it preserves, light also purifies.
Yes.
And we didn't really get into that on
No.
Sunday, but you know, we certainly could go there in all the different ways. Like
Yeah.
you think about how
UV light.
we use UV light, right? How many of us like got advertisement or even went and bought devices to put our phones like during COVID, right? And like I saw these UV light phone sanitizers everywhere, and it was like, you know, kill all the bugs on your phone. I was like, well, that's a great idea. It's better for the phone than Lysol. But anyways, right? Like I've seen people purify water just by putting it in a plastic bottle and setting it out in the sun, right? And that the light
Yeah.
purifies the water in
Yeah.
time, and it doesn't just wash stuff away; it actually kills stuff
Yeah.
in it. And you know, I think this is an immense calling on us all to impact the world around us by just being who God made us to be.
And I realize too that like Jesus is using metaphor, and man, my brain runs way down that track, but yet he's ultimately saying like, you are my people. I need you to do. Is he saying do? I don't know.
Be.
Be.
Yeah, be.
Like where, again, like I go back to it again and again, the Great Commission, as you are going,
Yeah.
right? So when I am, you know, chatting, you know, waiting for kids outside the school, chatting with parents, right? I am salt and light in that moment.
Yeah.
How salty am I going to be in the positive way? Or am I just going to be salty about the weather, right?
Yeah,
Like
right.
how am I going to be, you know, bringing life to every opportunity, right? You know, when I'm hanging out on the block with my neighbors,
Yeah.
you know, how am I bringing life to that opportunity?
And if we don't,
All sorts of ways.
Yeah, and if we don't rub shoulders, like when they preserve meat, they rub it into the meat. Like
Yeah.
we do have to be, we can't be,
You can't just sit it on top. It doesn't preserve the meat well enough.
Yeah.
You have to rub it in.
we have to build these, like be intentional about building relationships so that we can, like you said, when you're sitting waiting for your kids, you know,
Yeah.
consistently day after day, you build that relationship and rub off the saltiness of Jesus, right? Yeah. As we were, like you're saying, you go down the metaphor, I was thinking of a few metaphors, like first of all, salt makes you thirsty, so we're making them thirsty for Jesus. But I've learned a lot about light, actually from you too. Like when you when you make an image for our sermon images, there's a lot of work that you put into it, but you have a program that you can put light in all kinds of different places, and I've seen you work with it. And that, when you start to realize what you can do with light to set a mood, to set an atmosphere, to make us look brighter or backlit or whatever, those, like chasing those metaphors, is actually kind of helpful for understanding how valuable it is, right?
Yeah.
Like it's super valuable, light
Yeah.
and salt in these different ways. But so yeah, getting back to what you said, the value of a person. You mentioned that even if we explain how valuable salt is, do people today get that? Like if Jesus was here, would there be another commodity? We had a hard time coming up with it, but we did throw around a few ideas. Can you explain a little bit of what you were thinking in that?
Well, I just think that, like, again, I already mentioned, like, I loved that you brought it to the point where Jesus was telling the crowd, you have immense value. And sometimes we can lose sight of that aspect of the image, of the metaphor, right?
Yes.
Like, okay, I'm salt, great, so I'm going to preserve, or I'm going to purify, or I'm going to bring life, or whatever. But, like, that these things have value. You can go on and on about how it was, you know, something you trade with and it had value, great. But, like, yeah, what today might have that same, communicate that in the same way of, okay, church, in God's kingdom, you have so much worth. And it's a little hard to find a one-to-one
It is,
comparison
yeah.
today, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, like whether it would be, like I do think that there's, you know, we talked about petroleum or, you know, oil or gold or, you know, I think influence or
You mentioned reputation.
reputation,
like, yeah.
information. I
Yeah.
think like when we think about some of the precious minerals in our world today, like, you know, how much is going after lithium, right? We're gonna make all these batteries, right?
Yeah.
Like whatever.
Yeah. Right.
But there's no one perfect thing that really captures it
Yeah. Yeah.
quite right. And
Yeah, because that saying was, there's nothing more valuable than sun and light, that the Romans used, and Jesus
Yeah.
picked up on that, and like you said, there's a purity in those, but thank you, that just really helps us to realize, the value and dignity, purpose and meaning that Jesus is giving in those uses is amazing, and then he's like, be what you are. So the reason I think he focuses on be rather than do is, if you are something, you naturally do it, right?
Yeah.
If I am an athlete, I will play sport. What's the verb of athlete? I will athlete. I will
Athleticize.
I will be
I
athleticizing.
think the word you're looking for is train.
I will train, yeah.
Right.
Or if I'm a
Perform.
musician,
Yeah.
I will pick up my instrument, whatever that is, or sit in front of it,
And I think the other reason that it's good to be and not do is do also has
not do, be.
Sorry,
First,
to
yes,
be
yeah,
first.
yeah.
But like, if it's just do,
Mhm.
if Jesus
Yeah.
just said you're going to go do all these things,
Yeah,
it would then become a task-oriented
Yes.
list and life.
right.
So, like you said, okay, so I meet somebody on the street that
Mhm.
lives, 3 doors down from me, and I start chatting.
Yeah.
I already am then coming up with,
Yeah.
all right, here's the things I need to do and
Yes.
the tasks that I need to get
Mhm.
done while I'm talking to this person.
Yeah.
And I get halfway through the conversation, check, and
Yeah.
then I walk away.
Yeah,
That's not be.
man.
B says, I'm going to sit in this conversation, no
Yeah.
matter where it leads. And I heard something the other day about like, there's an amazing improvisation that God calls us to in faith.
Mm-hmm.
To say, okay, I'm going to look at this scene, I'm going to look at this time, and then see how it's going, and then realize, actually, we need to go back this way. Even though I thought I was going to go there, we have to go this way because this person is telling me about, their mother-in-law that just passed away, or like, it's not a,
Get through your list of
get
things.
through done.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the word we're talking around is presence.
Yeah.
When we focus on being,
Yeah.
we are more present in the moment.
Yes.
We are more available to the people around us. We are more right. Like if it's all about do, then the next question is, for how long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long do I have to do
Yeah.
in order to
Yeah.
satisfy the requirements? So
Right.
like one of the expressions that I've heard many times is writer's right. Okay, so if it's all about just how much to write, I wrote 3 sentences, great. I'm a writer, I'm done.
Yeah.
On to the next
Yeah,
thing. But I also think the other thing about why B is so important is B has so much more risk tolerance. Like it has so much more room for just understanding that a key component of being salt and light or being in Christ is that Christ component, that He is with us always.
Yes.
That we're not going out on our own. We don't do anything on our own, and therefore, there's so much more security in that.
Yes. Yeah.
That when I am considering whether or not, whatever the thing is, right? Inviting a family into my home, or to share a meal, or traveling to this location. Like think about some of the things the first followers of Jesus did to advance the gospel, right? They went everywhere. They had huge risk tolerance because they were focused on who they are and who was with them and who was ultimately, made them who they were. And sometimes I think in the church today, we lack that. And we're not as, we're so focused on the safety and security, and therefore we miss opportunities to be.
That's very helpful, this discussion about being first and just how you flesh that out. And it's really cool because it leads into what Jesus is coming up to.
Oh, no spoilers.
In a couple weeks. So, and continuing, but starting with the, be who you are, like this sermon is so good too because it builds on previous, like we are blessed, we have value, like he blesses us first, and he blesses, and then we have value, and then the next, we'll get there. So yeah, but anyways, I hope this sort of gets your mind thinking and discussions happening, and encourages you to recognize your dignity and your value, and then to be that wherever you are, and to be confident in God being with you, as we just talked about. His presence with us allows us to be present with others in His love, and it's love that guides the conversation, not a to-do list. So yeah, that's, wow, really cool. So I think we could stop and listen to that a few different times throughout our every day before we actually really understand it. But keep wrestling through that. Coming up, we have, this is the week. Next week is the week. It's the big week we've been talking about. What's coming up? To start us off on Tuesday, or I think it's Tuesday night.
Yeah.
It starts off.
Yeah, we've had some people doing some big training, like athletes.
Yes.
It's the second annual Steve Jones Memorial Pickleball Tournament, and we have pretty much all of our teams. And so by the time this really comes out, we're kind of shutting the list down. But we encourage you to come and be good, cheering, encouraging.
That's fun.
Salt and
It's fun to
lighters.
watch. Yeah. Yeah.
Because we'll have a few people who are going to be a little salty that night too.
Salty because they lose.
I'll let you take that however you see fit. But come out on that Tuesday night.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think it's 6 p.m.
6 p.m. That's
Awesome.
great. Yeah.
That'll be fun.
And then Friday.
Grades 3 to 6, Friday evening, 6:30 p.m. Come here and bring kids for that. We've got a great crew assembling to have a fun night where we get to, we get to do something bigger and different than we do on a Sunday morning. We get to kind of, it's a great opportunity to bring more friends out, and still with a focus on Jesus. Fun and Jesus. That's the two great things. It's like salt and light, fun, Jesus, boom. That's kids ministry. Right there. It's going to be a good night.
That's awesome. And then Sunday, so this Sunday coming, we have communion and a regular gathering. The next Sunday, we have a regular gathering, and then we come into this room, the fellowship room, and we will have soup, and a bunch of people making soup and buns, and we always enjoy those times. Then we'll go right back into the sanctuary and have our annual general meeting. And we just would invite anybody to come, but if you're a member, we'd really like you because we have a few things to vote on. And, it'll be a good time, a good day. So, yeah, that's next week. We've been talking about it. Now it's here, and we're excited. So, anything I've missed, guys?
Well, there's something else starting this Sunday because on March 1st, we have a big opportunity to come together, just say we love our city. And, I mean, we're not getting matching t-shirts or anything, but March 1st is I forget how many years they've been doing this, but it's the West Kelowna Warriors Faith Night.
15th annual.
15th annual.
So 15 years.
Which means, backing things up then, February 16th is the last Sunday to get tickets for that, which means this Sunday we should really start selling tickets. So don't be surprised if you come on Sunday, you will see someone in the foyer with a clipboard and an opportunity for you to sign up for a ticket for that. I think they're like $13 plus tax, so we're going to try and find out what that exact amount is before Sunday, so that we can have that and just make sure there's no other, booking fees or anything like that.
And that's for adults.
That's for adults. We're also investigating whether or not the poster doesn't say a child rate, but usually there is. So we'll have a little more information in our booth or with our person on Sunday. But just be aware that that's coming, because it's always a fun night.
It's always a fun time too. Yeah. So.
And they're playing Nanaimo, so I'm feeling torn. I gotta say,
do you have a jersey that's like half Chiefs and half Nanaimo, or front Chiefs and front? Oh. I'm doing Chilliwack.
Jeff, your Chilliwack is showing. Your Chilliwack.
Half Warriors and half.
Yeah. I think it would have to be a custom jersey with like the general riding in a big clipper ship.
Yes.
But no, in all seriousness,
I think those two things could go together.
I think so. I think it fits, like out on the lake. But you know what? No. I will say we were never like big Nanaimo Clippers. Like,
No,
we,
okay,
I've
yeah.
never been to a game.
Yeah.
It's West Kelowna all the way, but
Mhm.
that's okay.
It'll be
It'll
good.
still be fun. It's always a great night to come out to those faith
Mhm.
nights. And I mean, going to a Clipper, I was going to doing it.
Chris, your Nanaimo show.
Yeah, that's right. You're like the Parksville who?
Should we just end this? You know?
No, we're gonna keep digging because that's what we do. We are
Well,
the
yeah.
diggers of the world. Anyways, March 1st, Faith Night with the West Kelowna Warriors.
Mhm.
It's a fun night to be together,
Mhm.
and with other churches. But it's just a fun night to go and
Mhm.
all sit together and cheer on
Oh, yeah.
the Warriors.
Yeah.
So
That's
looking
great.
forward to that.
Well, that's lots for you to think about and lots coming up. So we hope that you have a great rest of your Thursday or Friday or whenever you're watching this. And hopefully you watch it before Tuesday so you can come and watch pickleball. But God bless you. Have a great week.